bakers and bakerettes. Hope your day is going as wonderful as mine. Welcome to my space. So glad that you could join me today on this, once again, on this epic bake. I really appreciate you guys allowing me to enter into your space and to bake your day my way. Today I'm going to bake a pound cake, and this pound cake is going to be made from a citrus punch known as Tampico. Yes. And I have baked one before using like orange juice and different varieties of juices. And today I'm going to, I did one before which was like a 7-Up cake, and I called it a citrus or a triple citrus 7-Up because I used not just the 7-Up, but I also used citrus juices. So this one contains orange, tangerine, and lemon, and then they are from concentrate. I can't even talk today. And this is supposed to be irresistible, is what I've been told. All right, so that's going to be the epic bake of today. I showed you in the intro the ingredients that's going to be incorporated. I have pre-measured. I have 1.5 cups of butter, and this is unsalted butter, as you know. And that's 3 sticks, just in case you're not sure. 1.5 cups is 3 sticks. Room temperature butter. I'm going to place this butter in the blender, and I'm just going to whip it right quick. Then I'm going to add the sugar, and I'm going to cream the sugar and the butter. And with this part, I'm only going to do this for roughly just to get the butter whipped into a more consistent mixture instead of having the sticks. Let me grab my spatula right quick. I just want to whip the butter. I'm not trying to, butter is creamy. And so I'm just trying to get it out of the stick mode into just in one uniform mixture. I'm going to scrape it from the sides of the bowl. And now I'm going to add the sugar, and I'm going to cream the butter and the sugar. Now, the amount of sugar that you usually will put per cup of flour is like 3 cups of flour and 3 cups of sugar. But remember, you can adjust the amount of sugar based on the sweetness of the cake that you would like. Now, one thing that I know about any of the juices is that, and even if you're using fresh fruit and you juice them, like if I juice, last time I juiced the orange and you juice the lemon, okay, or if you juice the lime, they have natural sweeteners, right? So this, being that it's packaged, I know that it's a high fructose corn syrup that's been placed in here. So I know that this is already sweet. So I don't want the cake to be too sweet. So I cut the sugar to actually 2 cups of sugar. But if you would like to cut it down to 1.5 cups, that's fine as well. But I cut it to like 2 cups of sugar because I'm only going to use 1 cup of the Tampico, right? So 2 cups of sugar, and I've already pre-measured those. And I'm going to place the blender on stir just to get the sugar and the butter introduced to each other. And then I'm going to increase my speed to roughly about 6. And I'm going to cream the butter and the sugar for exactly 6 minutes. Okay? I'm going to place you on a brief pause so you don't have to listen to this. And once the 6-minute mark is up, I will bring you back into the bake. Okay, everyone. The sugar and butter is creamed, and again, as I always say, the most important step, other than having the correct ingredients and the right proportion of the ingredients in a bake, is to make sure that the butter and the sugar are creamed. That is very important, okay? And in most cakes, between 5 and 10 minutes, no longer than 10 minutes, it's pretty good for making sure that you get the butter and the sugar cream very well. It should come out looking like ice cream, as I always say, right? So now that I have the butter and the sugar creamed, I'm going to add the eggs one at a time. We need 5 large eggs, okay? It doesn't matter which brand. You can use fresh eggs from your chicken house. You can buy them at the store. Brown eggs, you can get the white eggs. Eggland's Best, Publix, great value, you know, whichever brand that's out there. Cage free, an egg is an egg. So we're gonna add them one at a time. And as I always say, I only want to stir it because I just want to break the yolk. Because the last step is where I'm going to give it a very good beating or mixing. So in this step, I just want to break the yolk of the egg and get it incorporated into the creamed butter and sugar. Now I'm on to egg 2. Because the objective is that you don't want any of the yolk to be on the sides of your mixing pan. Now one thing I did do, as usual, when I was creaming the butter and the sugar, 3 minutes into it, I stopped the blender, scraped down the sides of my mixing bowl, folded from the bottom to the top, and then I started the mixer back. I do that to make sure that I get a really good mix with my butter and sugar and make sure that it's really creamy. I don't want anything clinging to the mixing bowl, as I always say, especially not butter, especially not the sugar, and I definitely don't want the eggs because I don't want, when I transfer to the baking pan, I don't want to see a lump of sugar in the bottom of my mixing bowl because that tells me that I didn't get a good mix and all of my sugar isn't incorporated. I don't want the yellow of the egg because I don't want any streaks in my cake. Alright, so that was 4, and this is going to be egg 5. So a total of 5 eggs added one at a time. And the key is to just simply break the yolk. Right? I'll speed this up and just give it a really good mix. I'm going to scrape down the sides of my mixing bowl and also fold from the bottom to the top because I do want to make sure that everything is well mixed and that the eggs have all become well incorporated into my creamed butter and sugar. And also sometimes when you don't mix it well, you'll see your egg white that separates out as well. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, that you're getting a good mix on everything. And make sure you clean the spatula and also your beater or your folder, your mixer, whatever you guys call yours. Because you can also have egg that clings to this as well. That doesn't end up well incorporated into the mix. All right. Okay, I think I've gotten a majority of it. I'll make sure I get the spatula pretty good because when you transfer it to your mixing bowl, sometimes you'll have egg streaks on it. Alright, so I'm going to ramp up the speed. And again, I'm not going to beat it too fast or too long. I'm just going to do this just so that my eggs become well incorporated into my cream butter and sugar. Now that I've broken the yolks. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do while it's stirring is I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of pure lemon extract. I always use vanilla, but this is going to be lemon because this is a citrus punch. So I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of lemon. And I know it has lemon, lime, and orange in it. I'm just going to keep with the theme. And I'm also going to use 1 teaspoon of pure orange. And they didn't have any Watkins, so I had to go with the next closest to the best thing, or Corbin. actually stop this right now. Well, of course, add the flour. Stop this at this point and bake it. Right? Don't even have to add the juice. And it'll be kind of like a classic or a traditional or old-fashioned pound cake, because you know they don't really have milk or buttermilk or any of the liquids in it. It's just strictly all of the dry ingredients, butter, cream, and sugar. Okay? Alright, so now I'm going to add my sugar and my Tampico, alternating, of course, starting with 1 cup of flour. And I'm going to start with flour, and I'm going to end with flour. And these steps are very important. And I say this on every bake, but these steps are very important. They're key. You have to have patience. It's going to get there, and it's better to get there and to turn out right than to rush it and try to throw everything in and then nothing comes out in the end. It's a flop. We always want an epic bake. So then I'm going to add, I think I'm going to turn it off here, and I'm going to add a little bit of my juice. And remember, this is 1 cup. You can add about half, because I'm going to do a cup at a time of the flour. Now with the flour, you can add optional 1/4 teaspoon of salt if you would like, because remember I use unsalted butter, but if you use salted butter, you don't have to add the salt to the flour, because you're going to already have it in the butter. You can also add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And this one, this is water, and it's from concentrate with the juices. There's no carbonated water in here. So the natural leavening ingredient is not going to be the Tampico juice. So you have to add it back to the flour, which will be your baking powder and your baking soda in order for the cake to rise. So now I'm going to add another cup of flour. See, these are like little key things that you keep in mind when you're baking, and the more you do it, the more practice you get. It all starts to gel and it stays with you. You know, it's not like Rome was built in a day, and everyone who knows how to cook and bake didn't crawl out of the womb and run to the stove and start mixing and making. You know, it's a process that you learn it over time, and things stick with you. Then you start learning how to modify recipes and, you know, tweaking them and coming up with epic bakes. Some epic failures at times, but you keep working on those and they become epic bakes. We're going to add the remaining of our juice. Just a habit. Spill a little bit, you have to clean it up. But you know, messes are made to be cleaned up. That's the fun part about cooking and baking. Anyone who say they don't like to clean up but they like to cook, they're not telling the truth. Because you spend more time cleaning up, you have way more to clean up than you actually have to in mixing and prepping. Alright. So now I'm going to get the remaining of my flour. And I'm going to say I did add a little bit extra, probably about 1/4 of a cup extra of flour because of the high fructose that's in the Tampico. And then I only did like 2 cups of sugar, so I kind of balance it out. I don't want it to be super sweet. So now I'm going to increase the speed. And like I said, you can also bake it without adding the juice. Just with the flavors alone will give you a lemon, orange, citrus flavor. Just make sure that you add the flour. But you can kind of take the old-fashioned pound cake recipe and kind of modify it that way, just simply by changing your extracts. And if you don't like a lot of eggs, you can cut the eggs because they are leavening ingredient as well, but you're adding the baking powder and the baking soda, so you can cut your eggs down to 2 or 3 if you would like. That's a personal preference. And also, if you want to make this a vegan cake, and I say that because, as I said in the beginning, a lot of things I do, I kind of emphasize the vegan side because I have students who are vegan and they want to learn how to cook, and a lot of things that they like, they're not sure of what they need to substitute or modify in the recipe, you know, to now call it vegan. So of course, you know, you wouldn't use the butter, like Lando makes butter. You would get a plant-based butter for sure. And then with the sugar, you can use white granulated sugar, or you can use your cane sugars. And then as far as eggs, you can actually omit the eggs, and you can use honey as a sweetener if you would like. You can use applesauce as a sweetener if you would like. You don't necessarily have to use, as far as eggs, you can omit the eggs, you can omit the sugar, you can use honey to replace the sugar, you can use applesauce, and applesauce is going to cover 2 bases. It's going to cover the sweetening because apples have natural sweeteners, and also it can replace your eggs, because eggs are there for consistency purposes. So the applesauce will cover 2 bases. So there are a lot of different things you can do to play around with the recipe to kind of make it what you want it to be. And if you want to use a different flour, you can. Coconut flour, you can use almond flour, you can use oatmeal flour, you can use any flour that's out there, wheat, whole wheat, any of them, whatever your preference. If you want to use cake flour, you can use cake flour too. So I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl, and I'm going to fold it from the bottom to the top, making sure that everything is mixed very, very well. This smells really good. But I say that about every cake I bake, right? But this cake smells really good. It makes you want to just eat the dough right out of the bowl. No need to bake, but we won't do that. Right, so now we're going to turn it back on again, and now we're going to give it a really good beat. And while it's beating, we're going to go ahead and we're going to prep our baking pan. And you guys know the routine. I take my famous all-bake food release spray that I found at Aldi's. Get the sugar out of my hand. And I take my Nordic Ware flat surface smooth baking pan, and I'm going to spray this over the sink. Messes are made to be cleaned up, but you can contain them as well. Everything has to be cleaned at the sink, so I'll leave everything messy at the sink, including the spray. So you spray the sides well, you spray your corners, you spray the flute very, very well, even the top of it. Don't forget to get the top side of your baking pan. Very well coated. And my secret ingredient is I take a little bit of the sugar, and of course I'm going to sprinkle it on the bottom. Some people use flour and butter, which is fine. I used to, but I just found that when I use the sugar, it just releases so clean. And a lot of people always ask me, how do I get my cakes to have those, like the crunchy coating? And this is the key, is that you're going to put sugar in the pan. Even if you take butter out, like melt the butter, and you coat the pan with butter, you can sprinkle the sugar. And it'll do the same as with the cooking spray. And don't forget to do the corners, don't forget to do the flutes. All right. And as with any bake, I always tell you, make sure you don't overbeat your cake. That would be an epic failure. Total flop. right? So we're gonna get everything off our little beater here and make sure that it goes back into the mixing bowl. Release the mixing bowl, and you guys know what I always do. I scrape down the sides to release anything. I fold it again from the bottom to the top, just making sure that I can visually see there are no yellow streaks indicating eggs not well incorporated. There's nothing resting on the bottom that indicates that none of my batter is resting on the bottom, therefore it's not well incorporated into the mix. So everything seems to me mixed very, 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 very well. Very creamy, very smooth. Okay. So now I'm going to transfer this to my baking pan. And again, you guys know the routine. I always pour it in a circular motion into the baking pan for even distribution. I just go around and around and around until it stops free flowing. And then I simply scrape down the sides of the pan into the mixing bowl. Still going in the circular motion. Give your mixing bowl a very good scrape, sides and the bottom. All right. Now, the next thing you want to do is make sure that everything is flush in your baking pan. All right. And the way to do that, I'm going to pull out my little trusty mitten here. Right? So I'm going to just simply shake the pan and swirl it from left to right. And then I'm going to tap it 10 times on my mitten. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What I'm doing is releasing air bubbles. Sometimes you slice a cake and you see it's like a pocket, an empty pocket. That's because it was an air bubble there. The key to getting a smooth texture on your cake, making sure that every slice is the same. Every slice looks soft, fluffy, very well incorporated, is to make sure that you release the air bubbles. How do you know you've released the air bubbles? Okay, good question. Every time you tap it, you're gonna see bubbles that come on the top of your batter, right? And every time they pop, you've released an air bubble. All right. So this one seems to be pretty well mixed. I don't see a lot of air bubbles, right? And then, of course, I always take my little spatula and I just go across the top.
Unknown caller.
And just make sure that I get like a flat surface on the top. Of course, you know, it's going to rise and do its own thing, but that's okay. All right, we'll just turn that off. All right, so now it's ready to go in the oven. Okay. That's why I say when you're mixing it, make sure you don't overbeat it, because the leavening process is already taking place. I'm going to cook this at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a low temperature, which is also going to play a factor in the leavening, because this is going to be a preheated oven and not a cold oven. With the preheated oven, you know, the oven is already ready, right? If you did a cold bake, it would be a longer leavening process with the cake, right? So a longer bake time, low temperature. I'm going to do a low temperature preheated. And the time for the bake is marked at 1 hour and 15 minutes. After 1 hour, I suggest you check your cake, because the oven temperatures vary. And after 1 hour, your cake could be done. If not, then you'll start looking at it every 5 minutes, checking it, and using the toothpick or the kebab stick to pull in and pull out to make sure that it's clean. And when it comes out clean, of course, you know your cake is ready. It's signaling that the door is open. That means it's ready to put the cake in the oven. Here goes the bake. All right. And as always, make sure that your cake sits flush. I don't have to worry about that because my pan is flush it's the flat surface. But if you use the bundt style, which is the one that have the waves or the curves, make sure that you twist the pan so that it sits flush, so that your cake is level and it bakes evenly. And also make sure you bake it in the center of your oven, because that's the hottest part of the oven for a consistent bake. And yes, you can use an air fry mold on your stove to bake the cake at the same temperature. Air fry at 325. Right? So it's going to be about an hour. And so I'm going to place you guys on a brief pause. And I will pick you back up when it is time to remove the cake from the oven, to check it to see if it is done. Again, make sure everything's at room temperature. Your butter's at room temperature, your eggs at room temperature, and your citrus juice is at room temperature. If you opt to use 7-Up or any of the other juices or any liquid, even milk, make sure that it is at room temperature. Okay, everything has to be consistent. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna place you on a brief pause, and while you're on the pause and the cake's baking, I'm going to do some cleanup. I'm gonna clean up the mess that I made, which is the fun part of every cook or bake, as I said. All right, although we know that's not true, but in our mind we say that. We convince ourselves. Okay, but all messes are made to be cleaned up, so there's no one else to do it, so let me get to it. I'll pick you guys back up when it's time to pull the cake out. Okay guys, I've checked the cake, it's still baking. Before I put my Tampico in the refrigerator to chill, I am going to prepare the icing. Or the glaze, as we call it. So I'm going to loosen up my powdered sugar in the bag. This is Confectioners Powdered Sugar. And it doesn't matter which brand you use. Right now, with things being so hard to get, you know, whatever you find, it'll work. So you need 2 cups of confectioner sugar. And I think I need to open up my slit on this bag. And I'm just going to prepare this in my measuring cup. So you need 2 cups of the confectionate sugar. Let's see. A little bit more. Alright. And you can never have too much or too less, because you can always thin it out if it's too thick. And if it's too soft or too smooth, too runny, you just add a little bit more sugar and it'll thicken it up for you. All right? So then you want to add 4 tablespoons of your juice. Just like if you were using milk, you would use 4 tablespoons. So whatever I put in the cake, I make the glaze using the same. So I need 4 tablespoons. Then I'm going to mix this up, and you can use any juice. This isn't like a favorite of mine. To be honest with you, I haven't had this in a long, long time, and I've only tried it once. We used it to make like some punch for a party, and we used this juice, and we used some Sprite, and also I did it like with ginger ale. And I just thought, oh, this would be something good you can incorporate in a cake. And this would be something that's nice spring or summer, the flavors, because it's citrus. Every time I usually don't think of a lot of stuff, but usually when I go in the store, my eye go to something, then that's a hint to me. And I listen to my inner me, and I try it out. And as I say, usually it comes out fairly well. And I want it to run. So this is the consistency. All right, now I'm going to add some extract, just like I added to the cake, except I'm going to cut it in half. I added 1 teaspoon of each to the cake. I'm going to add half a teaspoon to my glaze. So a half a teaspoon of the lemon and a half a teaspoon of the orange. And this just gives it that effervescence, that essence, that citrus essence. It just enhances that flavor that's already in the juices. In the juice, I'm only using one. It has 3, lemon, lime, and orange. So it just enhances the essence of those fruits. All right. And again, that's the consistency that I would like, because I'm just going to pour it on the cake and let it drizzle. Make sure that all of your confectionered sugar is mixed in well. As you can see, there are no lumps of sugar. It just free flows. All right. So the glaze is ready. So when the cake comes out, I allow it to cool. I'll already have my glaze ready to drizzle on it. And now I can actually place my fruit punch or citrus punch or Tampico in the refrigerator and allow it to cool for future use. So I'll be back with you as soon as it's time to remove the cake from the oven. Okay, everyone, it is time, it is time, it is time. Remove our cake from the oven. We can turn the oven off. All right, now we'll do our kebab stick poke test. Remember, if it comes out clean, your cake is ready. All right, the cake is ready. It's nice and fluffy and golden brown. I'm just gonna poke some holes in it with this kebab stick so that my glaze kind of seeps through. Yeah, it's gonna be really good. And another thing, when you bake cakes, if you bake it the exact time, and it took an hour and 10 minutes for this cake in this oven, the cake is easy to release from the pan. It's like comes out of the oven like really like ready. When you shake it, it's like ready. But this is what it looks like. Beautiful golden brown. We're gonna let it cool for like 10 minutes. And then I'm going to transfer it to the baking pan. And then from the baking pan, I'm going to place the prepared glaze. I just put it in the refrigerator and let it chill. All right. So we're gonna let the cake cool, and once it cools and I'm ready to put the glaze on it, I will allow you to join me, and then we'll do the taste test, and I'll let you know how it tastes. So hang tight. Okay, everyone, this is what the final product looks like. The cake is cooled. It has been glazed. Up close and personal. Let's turn the light on. Okay. That's what it looks like. Okay. So now is going to be the infamous taste test. So let's cut it. We're going to slice the cake. No slices too big. Okay. This is what the cake looks like as a slice. So you can like see the inside. So as you can see, it is very consistent. There are no streaks or anything, no pockets. And if you press down on the cake, you can see that it bounces back. Very soft, very fluffy. Now let's taste it. Tastes very good. You can taste the lemon It's very light and very crisp. You can taste the lemon, you can taste the orange. And the hint of lime. Not too sweet. I'm glad I cut back on the sugar and did 2 cups instead of 3. It's really good. So this one, I would say this is an epic bake. And as I said, I hadn't tried the I hadn't had the juice in a long time. We used to make punch, a different kind of punches out of it. It would be the base for it. Using ginger ale, using Sprite, using 7-Up. Also adding like some raspberry tea, the instant to it. So I've used that several times to make different punches, but I thought it would be a nice twist to a cake. It gives that spring vibe, summer vibe, very light, fluffy. The consistency of the extracts, perfect. 1 teaspoon in the cake of each, lemon and orange, 1/2 teaspoon of each in the glaze, lemon and orange. It kind of brings out that lemon, orange, lime, concentrated juice that's actually in the citrus punch. All right, so that is the conclusion of today's epic bake. Again, thank you for allowing me to enter into your space and to bake your day my way. I greatly appreciate you. To all of my subscribers, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. That's the like button. It just helps to push all of the videos that I post out into YouTube world algorithm, so that everyone gets to see what you see. It's just saying that it's a nice video, that it's worthy of watch. All right, so I appreciate you guys. If you just stopped by and you're visiting, thanks for visiting. I appreciate you as well. I hope that you will subscribe and also click the like button. Don't forget to leave a positive comment in the comment section below. No negatives, please. We keep it real on this channel. We keep it positive. We're going to spread the joy that this world is missing. Because if you leave a negative comment, I'll just throw right past you to the next positive. Hey, I keep it real. All right, so with that being said, again, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for your likes. Thanks for your comments. I appreciate you very, very much. Remember to always be true to yourself. Respect yourself, and therefore you can respect others. Always go out and share positive vibes with those around us, because we never know what people are going through from day to day. Inspire someone, enlighten someone's day, lift someone up, motivate yourself as well as others. Just try and be the best you that you can be, and hopefully others will see it and emulate that and be the best that they can be. The one thing that we definitely need in today's society is more love, more compassion, more sympathy, and more empathy. All of those are missing, along with ethics, morals, and values. And most importantly, the lack of respect. All right? So with that being said, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on the next bake. Epic. Possibly a prep, maybe a dinner, or possibly even a no bake. Catch you on the next one, guys. Bye.